All right, so here we go. Yes, we got some brand new updates straight from the dev team because yes, we're getting multiple updates and patches, and the next one is going to be out sooner than you think. But we also have to clarify exactly what this brand new patch includes because there might be some confusion around it. And we also got to go over this brand new interview with Elden Ring Nightreign's game director, who spills the beans about the future of the game, upcoming DLC, and yes, would we see the return of Elden Ring's infamous Poison Swamp? And there's one element of the game that players are not enjoying. We'll talk about that as well and get into how that can potentially change in the future. Plus, yes, I'm going over your top comments, so be sure to leave a comment down below. And remember, if you're new, don't be afraid to smack that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things Elden Ring Nightreign. And leave a like for the algorithm. All right, so I say we hop straight into the news right now. Check out the headline right here. It's not just you, Elden Ring Nightreign's matchmaking is taking forever if it works at all, and there doesn't seem to be a fix aside from queuing with a full group. Now, let me know how matchmaking is working for you guys. I haven't had much issues on my end. However, there are going to be future patches tied to this. So yes, we're going to talk about that. And there's multiple patches, so we're going to clarify some things right now. We did have an official post from the official Elden Ring team who says this: Nightfarers, if you're having difficulty matchmaking on PS4 and PS5, please check your NAT type. NAT type 3 may affect matchmaking on PSN. They go on to tell you to check your NAT type with your following settings, but they don't really provide an exact way to fix this. But what was also revealed today is that yes, we will be getting that brand new patch on Monday, June 2nd. It's going to be known as patch 101, which is super important. More on that in just a moment. Now, maintenance will begin at 1 PDT time and will last 3 hours on all platforms. They go on to thank you and everyone for your patience on that one. So yeah, expect the game to have some downtime here as they do address matchmaking concerns. Hopefully this patch also has some performance fixes. They don't give exact details, and I'm crossing my fingers that they start giving us legit patch notes here, fully fleshed out patch notes, so I can go over exactly what has changed. Now, there is some confusion about what this patch would include as well, because previously it was mentioned that we would be seeing some significant changes to the solo play experience for Elden Ring Nightreign, but that's not going to be happening in that patch. In fact, we have another patch, which is known as, again, patch 102, which I did report on previously, and you can expect that patch to be dropping sometime, well, in the next week or so. And that is going to be seeing, if you did miss it, some of those changes to solo play, which you can expect these changes right here. The following improvements for solo expeditions will be added to the game. Remember, the effect automatic revival upon defeat, which allows revival once per night boss battle, will be added to solo expeditions, and the amount of runes gained will be increased for solo play as well. So yeah, just remember that is happening, but it's not going to be happening in that patch 101 update on June 2nd, but I'll let you know when patch 102 actually releases. They don't have a firm release date for that one just yet, but I will keep you guys in the know when they finally do announce that. And you're probably all wondering about that brand new interview with the game director of Elden Ring Nightreign. Let's go ahead and get into that right now. So check out the first question right here. I feel like I need to ask about the absence of another element that's been present in many other From Software games. Where's Nightreign's Poison Swamp? And that's a great question, and the answer is this right here. I think the main reason is that it's not a Miyazaki title, so that could be one explanation. Jokes aside, I think it's just a serendipitous factor of game development and what goes into the idea process and what comes out. So who knows what could happen in the future with Nightreign. So you could take that as a tease or not, that perhaps in the future we could see the return of the Poison Swamp. You know, they do like to adjust and mess with the map randomly, so maybe they'll add in, you know, more random events, random poison swamps that could appear in the future. Who knows? That could happen, of course, because it seems like to me they want to evolve this current existing map. But, you know, if that is the case and they go that direction, what other elements would you like to see changed up with the map, randomization, that sort of thing? Yeah, sound off in the comments down below. I'm curious your take on that one. But, you know, the next question is this right here. What is the future of Nightreign? Does that include more content beyond the announced DLC? Great question. That's what I'm wondering. And the answer is this. For future content, we have the already announced DLC, which we're currently underway on developing. The content for that will be focused on mainly new playable characters and new boss encounters. So please look forward to that. So yeah, I'm extremely curious to see what they do with the new characters. So the big question is, who would you guys like to see added as a brand new character in Nightreign? I gotta say, playing Archer right now is definitely one of my favorite experiences. Did not expect that to happen, to be honest with you, because usually I go full on melee, but going all out Legolas has been absolutely amazing so far, at least for me. But yeah, he did go on to add on here saying this. And then of course, beyond that, we can't say definitely right now, but we will be continuing to support the game with patches and updates according to what we see from player data and player tendencies. So sticking tight to the game and watching for balance changes that need to be made, and generally supporting the game as we have done with our previous title. So expect more patches and updates here in the future, just beyond like new content drops and releases. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm more curious about the new content right now, but we'll see what they do with balance adjustments and changes. I hope they don't really nerf anything. But when it comes to buffs, let me ask you guys this: what would you guys like to see buffed? What is feeling like it's underperforming currently right now in the game? Sound off. And they were also asked about crossovers, and I really think they need to be very, very careful whenever it comes to Elden Ring and any type of potential crossovers. But check out the question right here. Speaking in terms of crossovers, it's great to see Dark Souls bosses in Nightreign. That's pretty cool, as well as some character costume skins that look straight out of Bloodborne. When are we going to see Armored Core crossover? And here's the response. We have a very high level of respect for games that other directors and other creators in the company have created, and never wanted this to feel like a random grab bag kind of approach. We have very fond memories of each of these titles, and there was very careful selection that went on in order to choose the right fits and what we felt could be interesting for Nightreign. We didn't want this to feel like too lighthearted of an effort. We wanted to feel like there was some love and care and respect put into it. As to answer the question of an Armored Core or Mecha crossover, who knows? It's very difficult to say right now what the future could hold for the company. I think if someone was so inclined, they could approach a crossover of worlds in such a way, but right now there's really no hint of that. So would you guys like to see an Armored Core crossover? I think they need to be very careful with this sort of thing and keep the Elden Ring universe very much intact. I think like things like Dark Souls, Bloodborne crossovers just fit a lot more than like an Armored Core crossover, but maybe they can get like really creative with armor variants and that sort of thing. I don't know. It's going to be, I think ultimately it really needs to be up to the majority voice of the community. You really don't want something like this to turn into like a Fortnite, or even like what Call of Duty has become, where you have every single type of IP and crossover imaginable entering into the game. No, you definitely do not want that for the Elden Ring franchise. And we gotta talk about some elements of the game that significantly changed during development, and some content that actually didn't make it into the game. Check this out right here. Speaking of traversal, I can't be the only one who's wondered this. Was there ever fall damage in the game? I love dropping down from a great height. I love that, honestly. So the response is this: there was actually fall damage at one point, very momentarily. We did study it and try it for a bit, but we felt like the game could exist without it. We felt like the game stood up on its own and didn't need it in order to feel thrilling or to feel trepidation of other areas of the game. And yeah, I think it was a great choice for them not to include fall damage in this game. It just feels so much better without the fall damage. But yeah, let me know your take on this one. Would you like to see fall damage in the game or not? I think it's a no-go. I don't think they should ever like do that at all. I think there would be a lot of backlash because there's a really good flow right now with the game. All right, so next question. What are the other things players might be surprised to discover had been cut during development or refined into something totally different? And here's the response. I'd say one example of this is the terrain changes that occur in Nightreign. At one point, there was the idea to have different maps, specific set maps for when you play each session. At one point, we had the idea to try to collapse this into a single map, and instead having these different layers and transformative changes that occur during that session. But that begs the question, would you guys like to see multiple maps in rotation with different themes and different looks to them, perhaps even like seasonal changes, that sort of thing? Maybe we would have like a winter map you jump into one moment and then, you know, a full-blown forest map. Or do you like the current approach that they are taking where they change up this one singular map in significant ways. I think right now they could do a lot with this single map. And in the future, I'm kind of curious to see what they do exactly with kind of like these randomized transformative changes that they can commit to. Because yeah, there's still a lot they could do with this. And our game director goes on to say the following: "We thought this could be a new challenge that could set it apart from previous and existing games, give us a new challenge to work with on Nightreign and provide a different gameplay experience, as well as to extend the breadth of each play session. By having this layering feature to the terrain features, we found this added very different gradients to the exploration and to the way each session pans out. When we tried this, we felt like there was no one right answer. There's no one correct way you could do this. It just depends on the game. And this presented a new and interesting challenge for us in a way to, again, spice up the new gameplay in Nightreign." Now, there's one part of the interview that definitely piqued my interest even beyond Elden Ring Nightreign. Check it out right here. So, our game director goes on to say this: "As a new director, we wanted to take things from a smaller scale and a smaller perspective and start with a strong base with Elden Ring. Of course, having had this experience as a director, I'd very much like in the future to start completely from scratch and have my own project and see where it can go scope-wise. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity as well." Oh boy. So maybe, just maybe, he will get his very own, I don't know, type of IP that he can oversee in the future. That definitely piqued my curiosity for sure. Because yes, Nightreign is definitely a proving ground for this new game director. And I personally think he's doing great so far. You know, he mentioned that he wanted to kind of start on a more approachable scale, not really overdo it. He wanted to start with an excellent foundation for Nightreign, which makes total sense. And I think that's the way to go, and then just build upon that going forward. Slow and steady, fast and fragile, as they say. And there's one element of Nightreign that some players are just not enjoying. Check it out. From Software's clunky UI and coy descriptions are keeping me from truly loving Elden Ring Nightreign. And this is definitely an interesting article from PC Gamer. They go on to say the following right here: "A roguelike needs to clearly communicate what a given item or passive you're picking up is going to do, and it especially needs to do this if you're on a time limit." And that's what's so very different from, you know, the base Elden Ring game. Now we have the problem with Nightreign's attitude towards this is twofold. First up, when you look at a weapon, you're only given a brief description of its passive traits. If you want to learn more, you need to go through the laborious process of opening up your inventory screen, clicking in your stick, and flicking through the passive, which can be very, very tedious and very annoying, considering that, yes, you are very much on a time limit compared to like an Elden Ring single player type experience. Now, this becomes even worse when you realize you can't expect items unless they're already in your bags, turning decisions that could be quick and simple deliberations into laborious inventory Jenga that you don't have time for, given the rains are closing in, and every second you spend not farming runes or clearing out camps is a second you're falling behind. Then there's the descriptions themselves. While most passives are self-explanatory percentage boosts, some pretentious sawdust from Software, decided Power of the Dark Moon was an apt descriptor for just about anything. The Executor's Grief? I'm feeling pretty aggrieved over these UI decisions. Imagine me slapping my knee and having a sensible chuckle. And I think if you're a veteran to Elden Ring, this is not going to bother you as much. But if you're brand new to the Elden Ring franchise, and maybe this is your first game within like even a Souls experience or whatever, it's going to be tough picking up on those things. But then again, you know, I think the community is absolutely wonderful about helping each other out. There's a lot of guides and that sort of thing, and there are some in-depth tutorial menus as well in the game. But it would be nice to have more details at a glance, like you instantly get that information even if you're hovering over the item, because you do really have to think very, very fast in this game, even compared to, you know, previous Souls games, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, what have you. Now, the interview does continue, or I should say article does continue right here, saying the following: "And yes, you can get more detailed explanations by picking the item up, opening up your equipment screen, yada yada, but also have we considered that they could just not make you do that, that the core experience of kill, loot, repeat might be improved just a smidge by telling you what something does without awkward fumbling." I do agree. This even extends to relics. Improved madness resistance is a prime example. Typically, talismans give you a percentage damage resistance, but not here, and I couldn't tell you why not. Taking attacks improves attack power. What's considered taking an attack? Hell if I know. Ultimate arc gauge +1. Am I getting a new ultimate arc gauge? Charge is my gauge charging faster. And what does the +1 mean? What's the difference between a +1 and a +2 of this relic? The meaning is lost to time. And sure, you can equip these relics and do a run to find out, but I don't know if that lends itself to a feeling of eerie mystery. It's more like opening Wikipedia and being given directions to your local library instead of, a description of the thing you're looking up, except your local library is filled with monsters who want to stab you very much. But then again, when I think of this sort of thing, to be honest with you, it is very, very Souls-like, very, very Elden Ring. They want that sense of mystery, that unknown factor to drive you into, asking the community and figuring it out. I do get that take. But again, I also understand the concern, hey, this is a roguelike, it's more fast-paced, I only have so much time. So yeah, there's that take as well. It's definitely just a different experience from what we know from Elden Ring, and because of that, there's certain elements that I think that need to be adjusted to be more explanatory in the moment, where you just instantly understand what is happening so that you can just move forward very, very quickly with your team. But yeah, ultimately let me know your take on that one. It's definitely tough because I want it to feel like a Souls experience, feel very ominous, mysterious. I get that, and I love experimenting with the equipment and doing runs and starting to understand what things do. That's part of the fun as well. But yeah, let's get into your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome aboard. Don't forget to smack that subscribe button and leave a like for the algorithm. But let's get into what you guys had to say here. Check it out. Honestly, playing with randos have this certain charm to them. It's fun just to run circles around each other after defeating a boss. So I've been having more luck getting through the first 2 night bosses. And then once you get to the third boss, things get a little bit more tricky, of course. And that's where I think the struggle comes into play with randoms. But even still, I've had a great experience so far with randoms. In fact, we have even more comments about this. To be honest, randoms aren't so bad. You'll typically get at least one person who will instantly drop a pin to let you know that they're experienced. And that's also true. Usually there's always some sort of veteran in the group, even if you're dealing with a few noobs or what have you. You're going to have someone that drops that pin and you go, okay, good. Someone dropped the pin on the church. They know what to do, so that's great to see as well. And we have what I hate about the revive mechanic is that the hits have to be accurate. If it was a bubble around the teammates, I believe it would be better. This one got 638 upvotes. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with melee. Playing as the archer, all you gotta do is lock on and just start shooting and you're good to go. The archer is fantastic for reviving. I highly recommend having an archer on the team, of course. Magic users and that sort of thing, that's also great. But yeah, there needs to be more leeway when it comes to the revival mechanics. Also, we have playing with randoms has exceeded my expectations so far. Awesome. And I just beat the first Night Lord with 2 randoms, Mr. Miss Moby and Mr. Miss Dip. If you're out there, you're legends. Nice. So it's doable. So it seems like the concerns around randoms that was going around before this game released isn't as much of a concern now. Also, we have Brawl. Duo mode needs to exist. What the F? That's been one of the biggest complaints so far about the game. That and the lack of crossplay. Those 2 things need to be added into the game. There are some mods out right now where I believe you could do duos and play only with your friends where no randoms can get into your game. And then you guys also did mention in the comments that, hey, you know what? It would be nice to also have AI companions. I think that would be a lot to program, of course. And I don't think that sort of thing will be happening in the future. So don't hold your breath on that one. But hey, at least solo play is getting some updates here in the future. And they're looking to fine tune that. And that's only step 1 of that. So that's good news. Let's see what they do with future iterations of patches. We'll find out. But there it is, the latest happenings around Elden Ring Nightreign. Thank you guys so much for the comments, for love and support on the videos. Remember, subscribe if you're new. Join the OWG family. And thank you guys for the love and support. And I will see you all next time. Take care.